It's Friday, November 13th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Everyone got a great show lined up for you, and yes, Friday the 13th. You know what to do. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show, and yes, it has been an interesting evening here in Honolulu in that it's been thunderstorming, and you guys know in Hawaii, there is very rarely we see any lightning and thunderstorms. I could see it in the distance, and I told my kids to come into the office, and they looked out the window, and we had the sliding glass door open. We could hear the rumblings coming, and they got all excited because maybe once a year we have a thunderstorm, and so I kept all the expensive gear turned off. Waited it to blow through, and it did. It blew through in like 10 minutes. It was through here, and it was fast moving. So the kids were all excited. We got to see some lightning and hear a little thunder, and luckily this time the power didn't go out for 24 hours like it did the past. And this really wasn't a bad one. It was just fast moving, and the kids enjoyed it. I did too. So kind of silly, but that's part of the thing of living here in Honolulu. Of course, I want to welcome all the new listeners to the show, and those of you that are joining us on Ustream, thanks for hanging out. And, of course, if you're checking the show at YouTube later or over on Blip TV, I encourage you to come over to geeknewscentral.com, check out all the great content over there. Of course, check our archive podcast out via the podcast link. Subscribe to the show. Get the show downloaded, the audio portion of the show, downloaded to your iPod. Really, every Tuesday and Friday morning is when the show comes out. That way you can stay abreast of all the latest tech content. And, of course, I want to welcome all of the Ohana, all of the longtime listeners of the show. Hey, thanks for being here, for being a family, and really making the show what it is. And you new listeners, hey, don't worry. You are assimilated into the Ohana the instant you listen to the show. And we want you just to pull up a chair or, tune in every couple of days and, of course, listen to the podcast. We appreciate your support. We want to welcome listeners from 160 countries worldwide. And I keep hoping that number will bounce out, but it hasn't increased this month at all. We'll keep an eye on it. Hey, one thing that you can do to be reminded that the show is out and fresh is that I have a newsletter. That newsletter will get you the show notes for the podcast. It's not a mailing list. It's where people are discussing the show. It's simply a one-way newsletter where you get 2 emails a week that contain all the content that I'm going to talk about tonight, including any listener-submitted content. Listener-submitted content come in via our voicemail hotline at +1 619 342 7365. If you don't remember that number, you can find that at geeknewscentral.com. It's right on the website within the show notes. Of course, you can email geeknews@gmail.com as well. Well, today I've been getting just a huge number of happy birthday wishes, and it's not my birthday. I don't know if I have my birthday set up wrong in Facebook or what's going on, but I've gotten like 100 birthday well wishes today, and thanks, but my birthday's in June, so I have no idea. I have to go on and look and see what the setting says. But no birthdays here in November, so I don't know. Anyway, I'll take a look and see if I can figure out where that came from. Hey, question I'm going to put out to the audience members tonight is I'm looking for a little info. What I tried to do on the last show to benefit those that are watching on the video portion is I was going to cue in my screen. And basically, I've got an application here that I use with a TriCaster that allows me to cue in a segment or portion of the screen where the folks that are on the video side can actually kind of get a little bit of a look at what's going on my desktop as I'm going through and talking about different articles. Well, I killed the network connection. I really am pushing a lot of stuff through this 100 meg system here, and I've got to upgrade to 1 gig. And I had hoped not to do that because I'm going to have to buy several network cards, which really is not a big deal. But the bigger thing is I'm going to have to, because I've got multiple machines here. I need a switch and a router. But I was looking at the routers, and most of the routers only have like 4 ports on them. And what I'm running right now is a VPN firewall by, who is it? Let me look at it's by Netgear. And it's got like, I don't know, 10 ports or something on it. And I've got it maxed out. So what are you guys using for 1 gig right now? Are you guys using for a router? And if you guys need additional connections, are you using a switch? Are you using a hub? What are you guys using as a network configuration? I was kind of looking online today a little bit and just kind of wonder what everyone's had good success with out there. Love to hear your feedback. But yeah, I got to go to 1 gig across the board here if I want to feed really that video stream from my desktop into the TriCaster. That's where the bottleneck was in some testing I did here the last couple of days. So that's going to happen real quick. So email me, geeknews@gmail.com, and exactly what you're doing, that would or what you're using, and that would be of great help. And I'm going to go out and buy it or purchase it online tomorrow or the next day, just so I can get it in because I want to add that segment of the show. Hey, podcast award status. Hey, the site is up and on for voting. So if you're a listener or a podcaster, doesn't matter which, you can now go over to podcastawards.com, vote every day for your favorite shows. The voting will close on November 30th, and once that happens, then I got to scramble. I got to get the trophies will be all ready. All the to go. Actually, they're going to start poured before the actual. The end of the actual awards, and all they got to do is engrave them, and then they'll ship them to me so that I can have the podcast awards ceremony mid-December before everyone goes crazy for Christmas. So lots of things happening here in the next couple of weeks. But get over to podcastawards.com and get to voting on your favorite shows. Hey, also, I'm now looking for 4 video editors. I got an email from Tom. He volunteered up. Actually, didn't volunteer up. We're going to bring him on as a video editor as part of our CES 2010 coverage. I'm still looking for 4 more editors that have Final Cut Pro and are using, obviously, a Mac and have time to be hired to do around 20 videos to get them up and to go along with posting them as well. We're talking about that to all those that we bring on for that. And Tom, we're still seeing if you're going to come to Vegas or not. I'm trying to figure that all out as well. So just don't be afraid saying, "Oh, I'm not going to Vegas." We're trying to figure out how we're going to essentially finance getting the rest of the people into Vegas. Hey, contest for my suggestion for a video product. Well, I tried tonight to implement one of the changes that 2 people submitted. And Sam, my good friend out in Albuquerque, and Jeffrey, who's the host of the Geekazine podcast, suggested that I do something with the logos on the video. And I did. Actually, Sam sent me 2 transparent logos. And the TPN one looks pretty good on the website, but the GNC one, you can't even see it. Needs a little more color. I got to do something to it to make it stand out. But you can barely see it up in the top left-hand corner of the screen, and it's there, but it's not where I want it to be. So I'll work on the transparencies. But both those guys suggested that. One of many suggestions. Sam, I think, sent me 18 suggestions. Jeffrey sent me, probably a dozen. I think 4 or 5 from Jeffrey. Then one of my good buddies in Japan sent a handful as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to split the prize between Jeffrey and Sam. So each get $50. And Jeffrey, I know your PayPal. Sam, send me your PayPal address and we'll get that out. But we'll work on those, getting that transparent logo a little more visible on the video side. This has been a crazy week here. I have took more Skype calls. I've done more GoToMeeting sessions. I've done more on the road mobile iPhone basically conference calls, basically in my car on my hands-free, of course. It is like advertisers have woke up. I think I've had 12 calls this week, each lasting 30 to 45 minutes, specifically on podcast advertising this week. Crazy. I mean, and we did not institute the calls. 3 of them were prearranged through a gentleman that's bringing basically he's going after some finder's fees. 3 of them were instituted by that way. It's been nuts, and it's a good thing because we're looking to add a lot more ad inventory becoming Q1 2010, and I'm excited what we're basically putting together for all our community members over at Blueberry Tech Podcast, podcasternews.com, of course, parent company of Raw Voice. So some good stuff coming, and about to announce a couple of CPA campaigns as well. So lots of good stuff, putting money in podcasters' pockets. Make one last comment. I did get some more email on my State of the Podcast Sphere, and some of it was very positive, and I want to thank those people that sent me emails. Some of it was very negative. I got bashed and bashed and bashed and bashed over the grammar on that post, and boy, oh boy. And I upset one of our Ohana basically by saying, hey, I paid for this myself. If you want to repost it, fine, write it up, or, give me the money, and then you can present the data. It wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap to do this information. And I'm going to put it behind me, but I'll think twice before putting data like that up another year, just because of the response. It just blew me away. It was incredible. It really reminded me from the days of when I announced my book deal. I don't know if it's jealousy or feelings are hurt. This is not directed at any one show. Again, this was a sampling of over 2,000 shows, and we didn't point out any one show. Heck, there's some stuff on my website that I need to improve. All of us have room for improvement, so it was completely amazing. Okay, I'm holding in my hand a little device. It's called, and those of you that are on the video side will see it. And let's see if I can get up closer here. It's a Sescom. It's from the audio source. It's an IL19 is the part number. And originally when I hooked up the TriCaster to my soundboard, I was getting a little of audio mismatch. And, what happened was this little device here was causing the tick, 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 tick information that people were hearing on the video. And what happened at the end of the last show, this tells you how good the Ohana is. The folks that were on the video podcast were telling me, Todd, we're hearing this noise. It sounds like tap, 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 tap on the video portion. I couldn't hear it. It wasn't on my side. But basically, I turned off the complete audio rig, and they still heard it. When I had the connector unplugged from the TriCaster that feeds the audio in, they said it's gone. Well, there's only a wire and this in between, and this is what was causing that. So I don't know why I had it. I thought I had it in there because we had a line mismatch. But those of you that are on Ustream right now, how's the audio sound? Does it sound good? Any buzz? Does it sound fine? We don't need it. Hey, by the way, my lights came in. They arrived, got them set up. So we're actually on my new lights. I got to actually call the dealer and get him in to pick up his lights. And I don't know if I've got the light settings matched exactly. I think we might be a little hot in the room right now. And but it's kind of cool to be on the final setup here, and they got everything cleaned up and wiring stashed away, and the places where they won't fall down. Matter of fact, there's some spot tie that's holding the stands in place to make sure they don't move. But hopefully the light looks as good as it did the last show. All right, let's get on here before I talk too long. Let's get into the tech content. But first, of course, let's take care of a little business. Hey, like like I said, this week I spent a lot of time on GoToMeeting doing sessions with vendors. It's just cool. It's just, someone calls me and I say, well, let's go into the agreement right now. And they're like, well, how do you want to do that? I said, let's go right into a GoToMeeting session. Boom, I bounce right in a session with them. We go through stuff. I got deals that are halfway wrapped up on a single phone call that would normally take 8, 9, 10 emails back and forth. And this is really, really the key. Easy meeting entry. Able to basically hand a URL via instant message to the person I was actually talking to, or via email. They click on the button or click on the link. It loads in seconds. No complicated setups. Attendees don't even need an account. Simple features. Share a keyboard. Share a certain program. I can block a certain part of the screen. Here's something that was cool, too, was I had a document open, and I was able to isolate the document on the screen. That's a feature that you can do in GoToMeeting, where you can isolate just a page. And over in another part of the screen, I was actually doing instant message chatting back and forth with Jeff in New York, talking about stuff, and he was pinging me on questions to ask. So it was almost like I was having a private conversation in one part of my window, yet the person I was having the meeting could only see the doc, and that was pretty cool. But, of course, the integrated audio features as well. And you can try this out for free for 30 days by going to gotomeeting.com/techpodcast. That's gotomeeting.com/techpodcast for a free 30-day trial. Thanks for GoToMeeting for being a continued sponsor here at GNC. Of course, we don't want to forget about GoDaddy. They're the ones that keep the lights on and allow me to do the cool things that I do. And really, without GoDaddy, the podcasting space would not be the way it is today. I don't think it would have been possible to have built up Raw Voice, to have built up Blueberry, to finance the things that I did, with that cash influx that came in the early days of podcasting. And really, I'm really a big fan of this company, not only for staying the course and also putting dollars in a lot of podcasters' pockets. And really, when you get to the GoDaddy.com and you get to that checkout counter, remember that. And also remember my promo codes. Promo code Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Geek5 will save you 15% on orders $20 or more. Todd20 will save you money on a 1-year shared hosting account. ComSale will save you some money on .com renewals and .com purchases. $7.49, I think, is what the cost is right now. And we had someone save megabucks this last. I saw a tweet on it. Someone say, "Hey, I picked up some SSL certificates, and your SSL certificate code actually saved me a bunch of cash." So whatever you may be picking up, hey, the link to the codes are on the Geek News Central website. Link in there. Share those codes with your family, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, people you work with, your boss, you name it. Use those codes wherever you can and keep me in business. All right. Thanks, everybody, for your longtime support of GoDaddy, and thanks to GoDaddy for being a sponsor here. All right, let me go ahead here and make sure I've gotten through all my stuff that I have on my list. Talked about the Video Editing Podcast Awards Network, Thunder from Down Under. Let's hear. Yep, I think that's it. All right, let me close that. Wow, what a bunch of stuff tonight. I have one voicemail at the end of the show. Haven't listened to it yet, so I hope it's someone not scolding me. And but geeknews@gmail.com is a place to call. And, of course, the voicemail hotline is +1 619 342 7365. News out of Adobe is that there is a flaw in Adobe Flash that could compromise nearly every website that allows users to upload content, including Flash files being put in Google Gmail, that then would silently launch attacks on visitors to those sites. And this came out of some security research analysis today. Adobe did not dispute the claims, and but Adobe did say that web designers and administrators have a responsibility to craft their applications and sites to prevent such an attack. The magnitude of this, according to computerworld.com, where I'm getting this information from, they say it's huge, and that any site that allows user uploadable content is vulnerable, and most are not configured to prevent this. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what the YouTubes, what the blips say of this. And it's all basically in how stuff is encoded in the flash file, and it's something to do with the action script. It's an origin policy, where there's essentially it's initially designed to limit a flash's object access, but there is ways to deposit a malicious flash object on a website, and you would even know. You could be watching a movie and boom, you're infected that quick. So we'll see what happens with this. We'll see if the folks at Adobe come up with something, or if sites protect against it. Now, one thing that we do at Raw Voice is we knew at the very beginning that Flash is dangerous, and allowing a Flash embed. We essentially have only limited certain Flash embeds to be put on the website, or actually included in people's posts that they actually when they're publishing through us. When it comes to syndication, when we're actually pulling RSS feeds and we find Flash in an RSS feed, we actually strip it, strip that data out. And it does take away from everything that you would see on the website, but also once it's pulled into our site, once that link and all that information's in there, and then we can lose a server relatively easy on this. It's very, very hard to protect from. And matter of fact, it's some stuff we've actually been looking at as we're getting ready to move Blueberry.com over to EC2. We're close. We're actually in beta testing right now. We're running through all the pages. We're actually doing some load testing. And actually, Blueberry.com will switch over to a large EC2 instance probably within the next week, just because we have tapped out the server resource that we're on right now in the site growth and publishing and everything else. Most of the other stuff will remain on GoDaddy servers. Blueberry is the only one we're moving to EC2, and it's a matter of scale. We need a bigger machine. So anyway, that's enough on that Flash flaw. So we'll see what happens with this. We'll see if any reports come out of people, essentially trying to exploit upon this, and we'll see if there's any reports. This time of year, folks, I want you to be careful when you're out there. Okay, when you're out there reviewing websites and you see an article that talks about like best laptop bags, and I'm gonna kind of pounce on Digital Trends, because they've got an article up here dated November 12th, best laptop bags, and they review 3 laptop bags. And I'm looking at these and I'm thinking to myself, all right, what's the angle here? When you're reviewing these sites at this time, make sure you're checking to see if there's any disclosures on the websites, to see if they have essentially been provided a unit. Right now, a lot of vendors are providing stuff to bloggers to write about. And so you got these best of lists that come out, and many times the blogger has received from free items, and he's basically writing a slanted article. And while I'm not saying that this website is doing this, just do a little bit of research on your own as well. If you're going to, getting ready to make a major purchase, check around on 3 or 4 different sites and make sure they're all saying the same thing about content out there. It's, again, I'm getting at least 100 emails a day from vendors saying, Todd, are you going to be covering such and such? If you do, here's we'd like you to talk about this. They're actually telling me what they want me to talk about. And, I'm not going to do it. Not in that sense. I have a policy here at the show or on the website that if I actually get a item to review, we use it in a real-world situation. We try to use it for a minimum of at least 3 days. And once we're done using it, we actually, write a valid review on the product. For them just to send me a press release and ask me to write about something, I don't think is fair. So as you're out there, again, looking at different sites and they're having these lists and having these reviews, play a little common sense in there. And I'm not saying that these folks have wrote a puff piece at all. They've got 3 pages of bags they review. And, who knows, maybe these are the best of bags. But, when I see information on the website that looks like holiday message, it makes me a little bit suspicious. It really, really does. All right, over on Engadget, This is big. This is big. I was wowed when I saw the news on this. How many of you got a Boxy? How many run a Boxy on a Mac or run a Boxy on a PC, using it hooked up to your television, or just watching Boxy show stuff, content that's on Boxy with your computer? Today, Boxy announced that a Boxy box is coming soon. So Boxee. They haven't announced who the vendor is, but I'm excited. This is huge. The Roku is exciting. Okay, don't get me wrong. And some stuff that they're bringing to the Roku is good. But Boxy has a huge, huge lineup of content. They're king of the hill in lineup of content right now. So as soon as they bring this on board, man, it's big. I will buy one. Right here, telling you right now, I will buy one of these. Boxy really, in December of 2009, unveiled the Boxy beta. And now we're almost a year later. Excuse me. The mock-up will be shown on December 7th of 2009. But earlier this year, January, is when they actually showed the initial software out as well. So we'll keep you advised on that. And I'm actually going to send Jeff, our content director in New York, to the unveiling of the Boxy beta. And he'll be there and give me some direct feedback on this device. But pretty exciting stuff. Okay, moving on. Washington Post article talking about the TomTom iPhone app. As we all know, Google has come out with their own map navigation software, available, of course, for, I believe, the Android and the Pre, not for the iPhone yet. But apparently the folks at TomTom are basically ignoring what Google is bringing to bear here, because the price for their TomTom iPhone navigation app hasn't budged at all in its latest update. And more surprising, the stock has taken a major hit. Well, not surprising. As we know, the stock took a major hit. And you would think at this time that they would be concerned about their market share. Now, it's up to Apple whether or not they're going to allow the iPhone app to be released that has this map navigation software on from Google. The indication is it's probably going to happen. But if it does, can you imagine what's going to happen to their sales of that app? Let me see here. A Google GPS navigator for free and a TomTom GPS navigation software application for the iPhone for $100. Which one are you going to buy? I know which one I'm going to buy. I'm going to get the free one. Especially for the iPhone, which I won't use as my primary GPS. So we'll see what happens here. I think there's going to be major pressure on TomTom and these other vendors. All right, Livestream announced today new service. They're streaming live video to the iPhone. Of course, Ustream has been doing that for a while. You can actually go on Ustream and actually use your iPhone to watch Ustream content. It's very hard to find this show on the iPhone. Basically, they don't. They have featured shows. So I'm hoping the Livestream folks makes it available for every producer over there, to basically people can easily find their stream show on this application. So this is a follow-on. I guess we shouldn't be surprised with this. That Ustream is first and Livestream is second. Man, I love that domain name. I wish that was a good one. They did. I don't know how much they spent for it, but it was definitely better than their old names. So we'll see what happens with this, and I'm going to get my hands on the app and install it, and actually I'll give you guys a report back on how it operates. But if you're watching shows on Livestream, like New TV, you can pick this app up today. All right, Apple has launched an iTunes preview. I know some of you absolutely just unequivocally refuse to load iTunes on your computer. Now, I don't know, how many of you actually send links in the iPhone store to friends, for music and stuff? I don't think I've ever done that. But apparently this is an issue that people have run into. And so if you've got a buddy that you want to send a link to some music that you like, and he doesn't have iTunes installed. iTunes now has a iTunes preview. It's a feature that shows what music is available on iTunes from the convenience of your web browser. And it preview lets anyone browse through the entire iTunes catalog. You can't buy anything through the iTunes catalog. Now, I haven't tried the iTunes preview to see if it actually can find podcasts or not. But for now, you can find music and videos with it. And, of course, if you want to buy something, then you got to load iTunes. So I'm sure, or actually load iTunes. I'm sure they're using it as a gateway drug into the application. But I know very few people that don't have iTunes loaded today. Some of you hardcore guys and ladies out there may not. But I don't know very many people that don't. All right, the MPAA, boy, oh boy, this is scary. Imagine that you live in a town where the local municipality offers Wi-Fi to its community. Well, what would you think if your Wi-Fi to your entire community was shut down because a single user was found to be downloading a copyrighted movie? Apparently, the MPAA was successful in shutting down an entire town's municipal Wi-Fi. And this is crazy. Instead of going after the single user that was downloading a copyrighted movie, they had the entire municipality's Wi-Fi service shut down over one download. I find this hard to believe. I'm sure the MPAA threatened the town, probably some small municipality, probably threatened the town with a massive lawsuit that they couldn't afford to fight. It's shocking. It really, really is. They have, since when does this company or this group have police powers like that? The cops can't even come in and shut down something like this. It's just amazing. Don't you find that shocking? That they would be able to strong-arm someone to the point of actually they would shut down the entire city's municipal Wi-Fi? I just find that incredible. I really do. And it should scare all of us. It should scare all of us to death. And we should ask our congressman why the MPAA has this power. There needs to be laws against this. We really do. We really need to stand up. This is a gross example. A gross example of an organization having too much power. So if you lived in the Ohio community that this happened, first of all, shame on your city council people for shutting it down. And the second thing, if you live in this town, you better stand up and yell and scream and fight and be mad. I just can't believe it. I really can't. I'm incredulous. I really am over this whole thing. So you can read the full story. I have a link up in the show notes for you. All right, Microsoft has responded to the Like OS X comments. You guys hear about this? Apparently, some Microsoft employee who did not even work on the Windows 7 interface, he said in an interview that what the Microsoft team tried to do was emulate a Mac look. Now, I'll be very honest with you. Windows 7 does not look like a Mac. There's no way, no how it looks the same. You still have the little button to start. It pops up, brings the programs up. You list through, find your program, start it. It's got a little more stuff on the bar on the bottom, status bar or whatever you call that, task bar. But there's not like where you wave your mouse over the top and you flip through the most popular programs that you have loaded on your Mac. There's nothing like that. This guy was off the chart wrong. But anyway, if you guys think Windows 7 looks like a Mac, then you need to put them back side by side, and you need to tell me why, because I don't believe that, for instance. But anyway, Microsoft has come out and said, hey, no, 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 no. They said the comment came from an employee who was not involved in any aspect of designing Windows 7 and that it was inaccurate and uninformed. I agree. I don't agree with the assessment of the Microsoft employee. I would not want to be that Microsoft employee having a chat with whoever's or his boss is. Hey, also, last night I loaded the new version of Parallels, version 5.0 on my Mac. And I picked up and actually paid for full retail, shame on me, Windows Ultimate, Windows 7 Ultimate, downloaded it, installed it on my Mac, and my Mac Pro is smoking on this thing. It works, oh my goodness. The only thing I don't really care for, when I'm in my Mac and running my Mac, I want to be in the Mac. When I'm in Windows, I want to be in Windows. This thing defaulted by putting Windows 7 right down on the taskbar, or whatever you guys call it. Here, see, okay, the Mac folks are rolling their eyeballs. Okay, whatever you guys call that bar down there, where all the programs reside. Yeah, okay, I'm not a full-time Mac user. But anyway, you could launch a start window and bring up the programs and launch it in a coherent mode so you could run Mac applications on one side and Windows on the other. Kind of cool, but I still, when I want to be in Windows, I want to be in Windows. When I be in Mac, I want to be in a Mac. What do you guys prefer? Those of you that are running both Windows 7 and Snow Leopard, what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer to be in that coherent mode? Do you like to be in the full screen mode of either Mac or Windows? What do you like the best? Works good. I gave it 2 gigs of memory, a little bit of hard drive space, and boom, up and loaded. There is a method to my madness and what I'm trying to accomplish here, because I might start using my Mac as my primary machine to produce a show from. And this is all about this 1 gig upgrade within the studio here, the network upgrade. So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we're going through. If I can get the software to be able to see both Windows and Mac stuff at the same time, I got some treats coming to everybody in the actual video podcast portion of the show. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next article. Over on Wired, very cool picture. Comet Hunter's last look at Earth is pretty remarkable. It's an image of the blue arc of the Earth against the blackness of space, and the sun is nowhere in this image. Basically, what you see is just a sliver of the Earth, kind of like when the moon is just, you see just a sliver of the moon, and the blueness of the oceans and one of the continents. Maybe you can see a little bit of Antarctica or something on the bottom, but it's a pretty amazing picture. This picture was taken by the European Space Agency mission. What is the name of this thing? 67P. Oh, it's a European Space Agency mission. It's going out to intercept Comet 67P, some Russian name. And the satellite took the picture on its third. Basically, they got a gravity boost in speed. And this is a pretty cool picture. I have the link up in the show notes for you. So, actually, it came from the Rosetta, I guess is the name of the spacecraft that took the image. The Russians have launched a Russian ISS module. A Soyuz rocket launched a new docking module for the International Space Station on Tuesday. The Soyuz rocket lifted off from Kazakhstan and is going to be putting the Mini Research Model 2 module into orbit. The module attached to the service module of Progress aircraft will dock automatically with the Zenith port of the Zvezda module on the station on Thursday. Similar in design to the Pirs module already attached to the station. And this module is designed to serve primarily as a docking module and airlock, and will also host experiments. So the space station is just getting ready to get a little bit bigger up there. All right, Mark Cuban's got a good follow-up to his blog post we talked about on Tuesday's show. It says Robert Murdoch and Google Part 2. And really, I think I can't necessarily disagree with Mark has to say here. And he lays out 2 cases for News Corp, and they're essentially voicing that they're going to block Google. He's saying his best case is that they opt out and everything works out for them. They opt out of the Google search engine. They put in all the, the robots text file, and prevent Google from indexing their sites. And that in turn would drive people to the News Corp websites, either getting into their paywall, driving revenue, or it will simply fail. Best case, they're thinking that News Corp will make money. That's what he thinks. Best case, that News Corp will make money and it'll pay off. Or number two, worst case, they opt out of. Worst case is that when they opt out of the Google's index, their traffic goes to nothing, and they swallow their pride and remove the robots.txt file and let Google re-index their websites. So I think what would be kind of cool is if News Corp decides that they are going to block Google, that once they do, Google says, okay, you're out for 2 years. And if News Corp decides that this was a bad idea and they remove the robots.txt file and say, okay, Google, you can, come on, you can re-index us, I think Google ought to say, show them the hand. You've talked so much smack. You've talked about how how we're stealing your content. We've decided that we don't want to be party to your slanderous discussions anymore or commentary, and we're just not going to re-index your website. So if that happened and the best case scenario did not work out and News Corp was not making any money on their plan to monetize or put up a paywall, that could just kill. News Corp could be done. Google could basically determine the fate of News Corp. Do you think they would do it? Do you think Google would have the guts to basically say, tough, we're not gonna go back and re-index your site since you said you want to be out of the index? So that's the comments. Could that happen? What would be the play? What do you think, folks? geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline +1 619 342-7365. All right, let's talk about Dig. You guys know Dig had a podcast section, right? Well, Dig is going to retire the podcast area of their website, and they're going to move those podcasts, I guess, that do video into the video section. I don't know what to think about this. They think that the podcast directory that they have is kind of out of play. They say very few people actually go visit it, and they say it was an experiment, and that they really aren't adding anything to their bottom line. So they're seeing a lot of people adding episodic videos to that area of the website. So now they're just going to roll it into a video section. It's going to be a home for longer form videos. So I guess this is a long form video for those of you that can stand to watch me for an hour and 15 minutes on video. I know most of you would rather listen, but should be curious to see what happens. Along with that, the original Dig Spy is being retired as well, and that was done in the very early days of Dig, and they say that the activity level is less frantic than it was, so they're going to remove that, and so they're doing a little pruning, getting rid of some of the, I guess what you call dead weight over at dig.com. All right, Facebook app developer has basically said, I'm done. I am no longer developing any apps for the iPhone App Store. He is a pretty high-level developer. Obviously, the Facebook app is one of the most popular iPhone applications in existence. The developer of that, Joe Hewitt, is well-loved and highly regarded in the community, and he's basically said, I'm done playing Apple's games. I can't put up. I mean, he did not mince any words. And here's the thing that's surprising: he's still working at Facebook. He's turned this project over to somebody else, so he basically gave Apple both barrels of the shotgun, and had nothing positive to say about the iPhone app development process. And here you have one of the top developers who's being sick and tired of Apple, and He didn't mince any words. He's still working for Facebook. So he just didn't go off and say what he wanted to say. And the Facebook, the Facebook staff knew he was gonna go off. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. Maybe Apple will start to open their eyes a little bit. Enough people scream loud enough, they won't have a choice. But then again, what do they have? There's 100,000 apps. App sales are great. They're still controlling their walled garden. All right, coolest product I've seen today, and I have to resist getting my credit card out. I really do. Because I'm all into home entertainment right now and making my family's home entertainment experience better. I've got an Apple TV. I've got a Roku. I've got a Voodoo box. And so far, I think I like the Roku the best. Between the Roku and the Voodoo for watching videos. And then the Apple TV is pretty good for listening to music and watching pictures and that kind of stuff. But Dell today has introduced what's called the Xeno HD. And it kind of looks like the Apple TV. It's a box that's 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 by 3.5 inches tall. It's a full-blown PC. They call it a mini PC. But it's got quite a bit of power underneath the hood. Comes with a Blu-ray drive. Has a ATI Radeon H4300 discrete GPU, in other words, video card. Wi-Fi. And it has a lot of power for such a small box. And there's no TV tuner on it, sadly. They do have a 4-in-1 reader. They have USB sockets. They got some eSATA ports. And this thing, also, there's an update on the website I'm reading right now. The TV tuner is going to become available a little later. So we'll see what happens here. But you want to plug this thing into your home entertainment center? This is the box, and this is one that your wife is not going to say, "Oh my God, you didn't put a computer in my living room, did you?" It starts at $229. I kind of went through their sales process. I didn't buy one because I think my wife would throttle me after the purchases of the last week. But I went through the setup process. I think I got the price to about $350, $360 on the things that they suggest and kind of what I wanted in more RAM and stuff. So it'll double as an HTPC as well. So this is pretty cool stuff. Have a link up in the show notes for you to check it out. Hey, I want to draw your attention to an article over on Geek News Central. This is an article written by Jeffrey. It says, How I Made Vista Work Better. And it's a pretty good article for those of you that may have just bought a new computer with Windows 7 on it. You'll definitely want to take a walk through this write-up that Jeffrey did. He describes what he's done to make his Windows 7 machine better. Talks a lot about antivirus and a whole bunch of other stuff here. So definitely check this out if you want to get your Windows 7 machine a little speedier. Take Jeffrey's advice on this. All right, over on Mashable, AT&T has basically come out swinging against Verizon in their ads. They are not happy. They're not happy at all with Verizon and what they're deeming to be false advertising. AT&T is out with a statement. It says, because Verizon's ads are so blatantly false and misleading that we want to set the record straight about AT&T's wireless data coverage. Essentially what Verizon did was they just showed only the 3G network of AT&T. They did not include the Edge network. So they did a head-to-head comparison between Verizon's 3G and AT&T's 3G. And the folks at AT&T have said, hey, by the way, don't forget, our coverage with Edge or GPRS is the number one, allows our network to be the number one, quote-unquote, supposedly for smartphones. And I know there's many places you go where there's not even an E when you're on the AT&T network. There's no E. There's not even an Edge. You're just on their old systems. So, but AT&T is swinging back. Hey, still, I love the phone. Hate AT&T. I'll be honest with you. All right, over on Google, this is big. This is probably the biggest news to hit the web, about the web, and how the web's going to probably move forward in probably the last 4 or 5 years. I really think this is going to be huge. The folks over at Google have been playing around with some technology they call Speedy, SPDY. It's an early stage research project that is part of their effort to make the web faster. It's basically a core application layer protocol for transporting content over the web. Basically, right now, when you go out and you request information from a web server, you use the HTTP protocol to get data from the web, which displays on your browser. Speedy, in a lab condition, was able to get pages to load up to 55% faster. They're going to open this up to real-world testing. And I think what you could see here is very soon, sites will have the option of probably using this protocol with browsers that support it and getting a faster web surfing experience. So this is pretty cool stuff here, and I think Google's going to lead the way. If anybody can drive adoption, they can, that's for sure. All right, are you Netflix subscribers? This is going to make you angry. I'm serious, and if you're not happy with it, you need to basically comment to Netflix, send an email to them. But, Hollywood studios, as we've talked about before, are sick of you renting their DVDs, allowing you to rent DVDs before you could buy them. They want you to buy the DVDs first and rent them second. So what Netflix is saying is they've decided to go along with the television or the movie studios, and they're going to delay the release of new DVDs by an X amount of time. I think it's up to 30 days. They're going to delay the release of a new movie by as much as 30 days, and in return, Netflix is going to be able to buy the movies at 50% off. So if you are hot on getting a movie that is being released, you're going to have to go buy it if you don't want to wait the extra 30 days. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to go out and buy. You know what my DVD collection is? I think I have maybe, if at most, I might have. If I have 20 DVDs, that's a lot. First of all, you got to store all those things. And the kids, when they get their hands on them, they goop them up or whatever. I don't buy DVDs. I just don't. And I go to my friend's house and they have 1,000 DVDs in a rack, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive. I'm thinking to myself, I could rent that movie for they paid $24 for it, and I can go out and rent it 5 times over 5 years and still get a high quality rental. I don't know, but Netflix is going to delay the release of newly released titles just to save some money. Twitter, we got to admit, Twitter is changing the face of media. Their folks are sharing media. They're using crowdsourcing. People are picking up, retweeting information. There's no content rules. People are making connections people to people. Folks are drawing conclusions and having interactions. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Mashable folks have a pretty good write-up on how Twitter is really changing the face of media, and I'm starting to see more and more a shift on that. Link will be up in the show notes. You can check it out yourself. All right, over on Ars Technica, those of you that are, well, if any of you in this show are U.S. law enforcement, you know that you can go to a judge and get a court order and have the ability to tap someone's line, monitor the communications that's happening with that individual. Generally, it's someone that is under the scrutiny of law enforcement, whether it be the Drug Enforcement Administration or agency, or some other organization that is trying to indict you with information that you may be passing over the telephone. The Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act of 1994 requires telecommunication switches to incorporate a capacity for government monitoring of phone calls and other communications. The requirement was under an ANSI standard. Basically, it was laid out on how it would be implemented so that multiple basically equipment providers would know how to allow law enforcement to tap into their circuits with a court order. It's called the J Standard 025. And that is a public standard that's available that people could actually see how it works. Well, some individuals did a test to see how easy it would be to do a denial of service attack against a federal wiretap. And they found that a single smartphone could potentially do a denial of service attack against a federal wiretap. And this is pretty scary stuff. And it lays out how vulnerable this system is. And I don't know about you and I, but if someone is being scrutinized by law enforcement, you would probably want law enforcement to get the information that they need to take that individual or individuals off the street if they're doing something that's illegal that brings risk or harm to our communities. And just to think that there's now been revealed on how this denial of service attack against a federal wiretap can be effective. And I'm sure this is going to drive change, as it should. But pretty amazing here that you could consider that someone that would be wiretapped could really do a denial of service attack against that, so they could not collect info. Very, very scary stuff. All right, you heard about this teenager in New York? Well, this teenager was sitting at home, and the police knocked on his door and has arrested him on robbery charges. Took him off to jail, and they had charged him. Well, apparently, the teen had been at his grandfather's house and had done a Facebook update in and around the exact time that the robbery took place. And this evidence was used to have the charges dropped against this teenager who was charged of this crime. So, allegedly, it was a robbing a man at gunpoint. So this is pretty serious felony. And so luckily, he'd been updating his Facebook page and his profile, and they were able to trace that back through Facebook to the IP to his grandfather's house and the time and everything else. This got him basically released from jail. Boy, I guess that was a good time to be on Facebook. But kind of scary that otherwise this teen probably would have, been took to trial for a crime he didn't commit. Scary, scary stuff. All right, how many of you are Xbox 360 users? How many of you put your Xbox 360 up for sale on Craigslist over the last couple of days? Well, it appears that some of you were running Modern Warfare 2 before the official launch, and Microsoft decided to ban a number of Xbox 360 systems from Xbox Live. And when you have a system get banned from Xbox Live, it renders that box useless to use online. And there's been a huge, huge surge of Xbox 360s made available on Craigslist by people that have had their accounts banned. You can't play online games, but you can play free games. The banned consoles obviously come preloaded with hacks, in many cases copies of popular games. Be careful what you're buying out there, okay? But there will be no warranty on these boxes that you buy, anything like that. But I'm sure there's going to be a shortage of Xbox 360 boxes on the shelves as people go buy their new boxes. But yeah, everyone had basically downloaded hack version of Modern Warfare 2, loaded on their machines, and got caught by Microsoft. Okay, Verizon's $350 early termination fee has rubbed a senator the wrong way, and he has essentially asked it was a Democrat from Minnesota, was it a lady, Amy Klobuchar, oh boy, goodness, destroyed that, who publicly criticized the company and is basically asked the FCC to take a look at exactly what Verizon's doing here, and if this is an anti-competitive move or not. So we'll see what happens there with this investigation that's been asked by this representative of the FCC. All right, over in the UK, this extradition of Gary McKinnon has once again run into some new hurdles. the House Affairs Committee has essentially asked that he not be sent to the United States, and they want a review of his mental state. So very interesting here. The extradition is on hold for this individual because of his mental health. So we'll see what happens with this. But I'm convinced at this point that this kid or this young man will never make it to the United States to face a trial. All right, let's go ahead and hear the last article on the BBC. I got a few more for you as well. Actually, I already talked about the Xbox. That was an extra one. Let me delete that. News out from Google. They bought Gizmo 5 for Google Voice. If you have been a Gizmo 5 user, it's kind of like an application almost similar to Skype. That's going to be integrated into Google Voice here in the near future. You can't get an app. You can no longer get an account on Gizmo 5. They've closed the number of people that can sign up for it. Not surprisingly, they've done that with other services that they've acquired. Oh, if you're a Verizon customer and you have internet service with Verizon and you are out doing file sharing, Verizon has decided that they are going to cooperate with the RIAA, and they're going to be sending customers who pirate music files, they're going to be receiving letters from Verizon directly, and they are expected to begin issuing copyright notice on behalf of the RIAA to those accused of illegally downloading songs from the web. Verizon's letter campaign is part of a test to see how their customers react to it. I'm sure it's going to go over like a fart in church. But anyway, this is what's going to happen. The Verizon has basically said, hey, we'll play along with your silly games, RIAA. Once again, another company bowing to the wishes of this organization, just as bad as the MPAA. Let's talk a little about space news here. NASA hopes to free the Mars rover from sand trap. After months of test and analysis, engineers plan to beam command to Spirit, the Mars rover, on this coming Monday, kicking off a long-awaited attempt to free the rover from its talcum powder-like soil in a crater that it got trapped in last April. As you remember, the rovers have been on Mars since 2004, collecting data. Can you imagine? 5 years. 5 years and still going strong. So this is really a last-ditch effort here to, for a better word, get the rover out of the mud. So we'll see what happens. They're going to try to back it up. That's the goal, is to back the rover up. They feel to basically to get out of the mud is they got to go back where they came from. And boy, oh boy, they got some challenges ahead of them on that. And if they are unsuccessful, well, that will be Spirit's final resting place. All right, folks, that's it for the regular content tonight. Let me go ahead and get into the voicemail comments that I have. Actually have one for you. Let me go ahead and play that now. Of course, if you have comments on tonight's show, geeknews@gmail.com, or you can call the voicemail hotline at +1 619 342 7365. Let me go ahead and bounce into the voicemail here.
Hey Todd, this is Jose Alvarez from the great Golden State, California.
Hey, Jose.
Well, let me start that I already sent you an email for this episode of your show, and I hope this voicemail makes it also to the same episode. Well, anyways, I would like to give a possible explanation and why people are not calling you to your hotline.
Oh.
Not showing some love, and everything. Well, I think most people is when they call, most likely it's a long distance. I know that most people have a long distance feature on their phone number, and second of all, people that are calling you to outside the United States, they might be obviously being charged for a international call, and most likely that's the reason that you haven't been getting any voicemails. If you have more than my voicemail for this episode, well, that means that they're all showing you some love and everything. And, so that's my, my way of showing some love and everything. So keep up the good work. I love your show.
Hey, thanks for calling and thanks for the feedback. I think what it is on the voicemail hotline is that it just depends on what I'm covering. If I get too controversial or upset the users, then I'll get a bunch of voicemails, or I think it's all seasonal, and it's either feast or famine. It's either a lot of calls come in or a lot don't. But I think today, with our options that we have available to call on Skype or to call on our cell phones, which most cell phone plans are unlimited long distance minutes. Even our home phones, if you still have a landline today, very few people are actually paying a per minute charge to their landline. I still have one landline here, primarily for roundtables where I connect via landline, or on the 24-hour podcast where I go in with a hard line to our audio source. So I think that most people have the ability to make a very inexpensive call to that number. It would be interesting to see if I actually introduce an 800 number to the line and see if that would help any calls come in. But it is what it is, and the show goes an hour and 15 minutes with or without people calling into the podcast. Sometimes the calls actually make the show go much longer, and people are busy. It's a busy time of year, and it is what it is. So if people want to call in and make comments, they can. They know the number. It's told 3 or 4 times during the show, and if they don't, it must be I'm doing a good job. The emails keep flowing as well. So it is what it is. But again, thanks for calling in and providing feedback. Okay, let me go ahead and get into the email comments tonight. And I want to talk a little bit about... I actually got some video suggestions from Tom Newman as well. Tom, thanks for that. I appreciate it on those. I got an email from Trucker Tom talking about the Hadron Collider breaking down because of a passing bird doo-dooed on... Actually, it dropped some bread on it. Okay, you got this multi-billion-dollar Hadron Collider, and it broke because a bird flew by and dropped some bread on it. Doesn't that strike all of you? That story has to be true, because no one in their right mind would think something like that up. If you wanted to cover something up, you would say that some super duper $1 million cooler broke down. Not that some bird dropped some bread out of its mouth. First of all, do birds actually have bread? Where do birds get bread? Yeah, I guess maybe they do it around cities. Is this thing in and around a city? Or they got someone that, where the scientists can go out and throw breadcrumbs at the birds? Doesn't that it's remarkable. It's the most expensive, complex machines in the world. It got broke by some breadcrumbs. Oh, man. It's just too funny. What do you think? Think it's true or false? Or is it a cover story? Is there a conspiracy? All right, did you hear about the little small asteroid that passed within 8,700 miles of Earth? Just a itsy-bitsy little asteroid measuring 23 feet across, passed within 8,700 miles of Earth. Don't worry. This happens quite often, and generally when these size of asteroids come whizzing into the atmosphere, they don't make it too far. So maybe they end up on the ground as a pebble or something because they get burned up. But 8,700 miles, only 15 hours of warning. I think 15 hours of warning for an object 23 feet in diameter is pretty good, considering the speed that it's coming in. So do you think that was enough time? I don't know. Got an email here. This is actually a press release that came out of Washington, D.C. And there was the Software and Information Industry Association has submitted official comments as part of the FTC's upcoming workshop talking about how will journalism survive in the internet age. And I thought this was kind of an interesting comment. I actually read their posting. In the comments to the FTC, it says, of critical interest to the SIAA, and its members' ability to succeed in the Internet age are the questions posed by the FTC relating to copyright protection for information content. SIAA has been a leading voice of the industry on critical intellectual property issues in the software and content industries for many years. One of the most significant threats today is digital content piracy because it's so easy for the public to access content. These infringements can have a significant adverse effect on the value of the content and the ability of the content publishers to continue providing the content. In other words, they're crying because it's an open world out there. And I thought it would just be interesting for you to see that the Software and Information Industry Association is getting involved in basically trying to save journalism in its current format. So I'll have this linked up in the show notes for you. You can check it out. Normally I wouldn't read these in the show comments, but I had to laugh with this email that actually come in. Got an email from Jose talking about, you want to comment about the previous episode. It's about the lady who wants to have live stream her childbirth. I agree with you that with the proper camera angles, it will be nice to live stream. And as a photographer, I think this is possible. Also, as a photographer, I see this as an art more than anything because to see a woman giving birth is something to admire. This is how we all come to this world. Plus, most 12-year-old and older people know how the human body reproduction organs work, so that's not a surprise. If people see this as a matter of art, as a way to see a birth, to see how we've come to this world, it will be nice to see this live stream. Her husband needs to agree too. I hope the husband had an open mind. Good job. I like the talk show. Keep up the great work. One thing that's cool here, I guess, if you think about this, is when my 5-year-old was born, we had both of his siblings in the delivering room with us. Now they were positioned behind Mom, in other words, up by her head, and that's where they stayed for the critical delivery moments. But they were there, and it was, I think, a pretty eye-opening, and it was a great experience for them. So I agree it can be very educational for kids, as long as it's, basically context right. And I guess this actually happened already. I've heard this, heard some reports that it actually went down. I haven't seen the video, but I guess there was not too much negative stuff on the net about it. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight, folks. As always, geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline +1 619 342 7365, +1 619 342 7365. And thanks, everybody, for all the nice comments on how the studio is shaping up. I know the lighting has greatly improved. We're trying to improve, those of you that are watching right now, we're trying to improve this shot right here. And I've moved the camera back and up. I just kind of wonder, those of you that are on Ustream right now, what do you think of that shot? Do you think it's, is it good or is it not good? So let me know about that. Also, for those of you that are listening on the audio portion of the podcast, I'm going to hold an object up, and I want everyone to, I'm going to have a little contest here. And this is something that I received at a recent trade show. Gosh, I just kind of gave it away. But I want you guys to kind of just, if you can, tell me what this swag is and possibly what it was used for. So I just gave a flash on the screen, and it happened near the end of the show. So obviously you can probably find that on the podcast. Let me flash that again here on the camera real quick. You guys tell me what this is that I was holding and potentially what it was used for in the swag handout. So if you look real closely, you'll actually be able to see the company that gave it. And when I get off the air, everyone that's on the Ustream stream, I'm going to tell you what it is. And then you guys can, and don't type it into chat because people can go into chat later. You guys that are on the Ustream stream will all get a chance to get in on the prize for just watching. Okay, so this is a bonus to everyone that's watching right now. So, and the rest of you that are listening on the audio program, if you want a chance to win a cash prize here, go to the video and take a look at my swag item that I just shared with the audience. We'll be doing more fun stuff like this from time to time, and it may be in the middle of the show, beginning of the show, who knows? But I'm trying to encourage all of you to check out the video from time to time. And, of course, the video of this show will be on the Geek News Central website, linked up in an embed. Have fun trying to figure out what it was. But anyway, geeknews@gmail.com is where to send your email comments. And, of course, your entries for this little mini contest. +1 619 342 7365. And everyone take care. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. We'll see you back on the live show Monday night, podcast release Tuesday morning. Everyone take care and aloha. See you later. Bye-bye.